Hi everyone. So, so much has happened these past few weeks. I think it's been weeks since I last put up a video. So much is going on. My schedule changed at work again. I'm now off on Saturday and Sunday. God led me to request that I be given those days as my days off. And at first, the GM balked at that request. But I left it to God, and I have since been having Saturdays and Sundays off. So God sends me wherever He wants me, and I meet people and I talk to people. Yesterday, God led me to Uber to an area like a shopping center. He wanted me to go out, have some fun. I didn't want to, but He's allowing me to let go of the poor mindset because I'm not poor. I am rich in His kingdom. And so I must behave as such. And it's funny to me, not funny, but interesting how we hear all these prophets who struggled in the beginning, and now we see them in these lavish places. They're still struggling. They're still not 100% where they need to be, but they have leveled up. They have gone up to their next and are now waiting to go into transition. Um, because of my request, the way that I asked God for things to develop for me, I never asked Him for homes. I never asked Him for cars. I asked Him for love. I said, Father, I want to be loved. I want to know what it's like to have a true, sincere love, a love like yours. My heart is after God's heart. I don't mind being poor. I don't mind living in a hotel or a motel. I don't mind distressing for things or saving money up to buy what I want. I don't mind those things because to me it's not about the luxuries. For me it's not about and I'm not saying these things because I want you to look and say, oh, she really wants us to believe she's humble. No, this is me. If you met me in person, you'd understand. This is who I am. This is how God created me. I don't look for the materialistic things. And it's not that I don't want them. It's that that's not what's important to me because that's not what God has put in my heart. I prefer to have love. I prefer to have friends who care about me, friends who worry about my safety, who tell me, be safe going home from work. And not because they're being false, but they're being genuine and caring. And I know the difference. I have lived with people who have treated me poorly, who have hated me, who have wished evil on me. And my dog is still looking like hell. Though God is using my dog to show me this is what they wanted for you. This is the way they wanted you to look. This is how they wanted you to be. They wanted you on your knees, begging them to leave you alone, to give you a lifeline. They wanted to be your God. They wanted to be the reason that you survived. But you never turned away from me. You always carried my heart with you. You always made sure that I was first. Even in the darkness, even in the areas of hatred and loathing that people had against you, you still kept your heart for me. You still loved me. And so these past few days, things have just started to unravel. I have come full circle and full circle and full circle and full circle. Some of the things that Lucifer took away from me, God is now giving back to me. And I am in awe of the generosity and the love that God shows us. And I can start to see the turning of my page, the turning of my chapter, the closing of the book of my old life. And I had a dream last night, or early this morning, and it was my spouse. And he came to me, and he looked he looked really good. He really did. I was mesmerized. I was like, uh-huh. I was barely listening to the words he was saying, and he looks at me and he goes, "Are you listening to me?" Yeah, kind of. And he goes, "They need you to come into work. They need you to come into work now. Are you ready to come into work?" And didn't drop the revelation of that until just now. My spouse is going to come to me and he's going to tell me it's time to come together. It's time to go to work. Are you ready to go to work with me? To pull up our sleeves and to fight back. To take back what belongs to us. And because God brought me to Revelations. And he brought me through Revelations through my dog. And I'll show you. This is what my dog looks like right now. He has lost almost all of his hair. He has 2 cuts on the hind legs that I've been having to care for. All of a sudden, I don't know if you remember, but in the summertime I was telling you about there being so many flies, there's no way for the flies to come into because I don't open the doors. It's not like I have the door open or the windows open so the flies can come in. You know, the door is always closed, yet the flies would manifest. And God has led me to understand that it's not just the people who are against me, but there was an individual who lived in this room, in this very room, who was doing witchcraft, who was doing evil, not just on the people in this property, but the people that she came across with. And I remember, God brought back to my memory something the man said, the owner of this property, something he said to me when I first moved in. And he said, I had to make this woman leave because she was burning incense and I didn't like the smell. I didn't like what she was doing. And it was because God was putting it in his heart to remove her from the property so that he could bring me in. I cannot leave this property until I have completed God's work. God's work will always be completed before your blessings, before anything else, because that is what is important to God. He comes first. And so I told God, I am here for the duration. You want me here for 2 years. You want me here for a year. You want me here for 3 years. I'm here for whatever you want me. I said, you don't need to have him evict me. You don't need to have him scare me into doing that. I said, I will leave when you ask me to. I am not holding on to this place. This is not my saving grace. You are my saving grace. You love me. You take care of me. You show me what my worth is. And because of you, I feel safe. So it started with, he's been having me anoint my dog every few days with olive oil. And it's a specific olive oil he's had me buy. The brand name is Pompeii. And those of you who know the story of Pompeii, there was a volcano and the volcano erupted and it covered the entire area in ash. There's another story that reminds us of that. But that's not the name of the place. Interesting how they changed the name so that people will forget the stories behind. But I remember because it was a very, very, it was something that happened when I was a child. It was in the 80s. And it really stayed with me. Like I feel that impact of those people that were buried alive by this volcano and the destruction this volcano brought. And God is strategic in everything he does. I know we've all been speaking about words of the end of times and how things are coming and things are ending and things are going to be different. And you can see the scrambling the by those that love the darkness, by those that love the sin that they're doing knowingly. These aren't people who unknowingly are doing sin. They are doing sin knowing that they are sinning against God in their hearts, in their minds, in their words that they're speaking. They're speaking evil. They're speaking destruction. They're speaking death. They're speaking everything they can think of to make us feel fear. Okay? So he woke me up this morning and I spent some time sending some texts to my husband, and because God wants him to see that the darkness isn't going to win. The darkness isn't going to take him over. That there is a light, and as long as he follows the light, he will be saved. He will be safe, and nothing will be able to come against him. And because of that, my dog has been experiencing some really nasty witchcraft. Because remember, God uses my dog to protect me because I would look the way he does if I didn't have him. My dog submitted himself to God. My dog shouldn't be alive right now. My dog should have died at birth. He should have never survived. But God, now I understand why my dog fed him. She nursed him until he was 8 months old. And I would tell her, stop feeding him. Like you're deteriorating him because you're feeding him. And she just looked at me like, you'll understand one day. I understand now. If she had not fed him like she had, if she had not given him her life for a life, if she had not given him her life willingly, he would not be alive today. Because of the love that she had for her son. You've got to see. You've got to discern. I'm telling you, my life is a living testimony of God's grace, of God's love, of God's assignments. Because she loved her son so much and gave her life for him, he has survived every attack against him. He has survived every violent attachment against him. He has survived every single thing that has come against him. Not by his grace and not by hers, but by God's. That said, God gave me... So, earlier last week, God had put in my heart that I needed to... He told me clean out the closet. And in cleaning out the closet, he had me throw away some bags that I had been holding in the closet, like shopping bags, because I was using them as poop bags for my pup. You know, I would clean up his mess. I was using them for trash cans. I was using them for just things that I needed around the house, around the space. And he led me to throw them away. Well, when I did that, I picked up the box that my skillet came in, that I bought, that God had led me to buy. And when I picked it up, I literally felt in my spirit, pack up the skillet. And I was like, okay. But he didn't tell me now. He said, put the box out. So I did. I set it out, and I meant to go put the skillet in it. But God had me busy with other things, and he distracted me, and he allowed the distraction for my good. But he kept putting it in my head. Put the skillet in the box, put the skillet in the box. But he wouldn't allow me to do it. And so on Friday, I got home from work and it was late, and I wasn't going to go out or anything like that. It wasn't anything like that. But they sent me home early. And I ran into the owner of the property. And he looks at me and he says, well, he sent me 2 messages because I haven't paid rent. And he said, you need to come by, you need to pay rent. And he sent me 2 messages to tell me that. When I got here, the man was on the phone. And I'm like, hey, you have time? And he goes, no, not right now, later. And I said, I'm tired. Is there any chance that I can come back tomorrow? And he goes, yeah, tomorrow. So I came home. I came into the space. And I was cleaning up, taking care of things, getting ready to go to bed. I was drinking my wine because God still has me leading me to drink my wine. And so I was drinking my wine, and then all of a sudden, the skillet, the image of the skillet dropped in my mind. And I heard now. And I was like, okay. So I grabbed the skillet and I'm like, I'm frantically trying to put the skillet in the box. And he goes, slow down. And I was like, okay, okay, okay. So I took a deep breath and I put the skillet in the box. I put the cord in the box and I closed it. And he goes, okay. And then all of a sudden I hear my phone go buzz because I have it on silent. So it vibrated. And I was like, what the heck? Did I get a text message? I don't get paid until Tuesday. I got my check on Friday. And the number that I got was more than any of the checks I've ever received. And God led me to remember that. He goes, that number is important. But he didn't have me look it up. And so yesterday, God sent me out. He said, go. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy. And I said, okay. So I went and I threw out the trash and I got ready to go before I threw out the trash. And I was like, okay. And I walked out the door and the owner was next door. And I was like, okay, well, he wants me to pay rent. Obviously, he's hanging out by my door. And so I came inside and grabbed my things and I walked out the door. And I stopped to see him and I said, hey, do you have time now? And he goes, no, I don't. And he says, where are you going? And I said, I'm going grocery shopping. And he goes, when you get back, we'll take care of it. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, oh, by the way, can you buy groceries for me too? And I said, sure. I said, what do you need? Peppers? And he goes, the whole store. And I said, please use discernment. Please use discernment. And I said, okay, I'll put it on your tab. And I walked away. And I came home and I had bags. I went to Target. God had me go out to eat. He had me go shopping. He had me go buy some things for myself. And then he had me go get some things for the room because I'm going to be cleaning soon. I'm going to be leaving soon, so I need to prepare the space to be vacated. Eyes to see, ears to hear. And so I'm coming home and there's the man again. And so I'm like, I'm going to go put my things away and I'll be back out. And he goes, no, we'll take care of it tomorrow. This man was frantically searching for me on Friday. And now he's dismissing me, telling me, don't worry about it right now. Don't worry about it right now. Because I left it to God. I said, God, if you want me to pay this man's rent, I will pay this man's rent. But he said some things to me. And he tried to do something when I first moved in. He tried, I don't know if you go back to last year in November, which is when I moved into this place, into this space, he tried to kiss me, but I backed away and I said, I'm sorry, no. And he said to me, I want you to understand that you are a beautiful woman. And I said, I do understand. I don't need you to try and kiss me to make me understand that. We've never talked about it. We've never said anything about it. In September, this man told me that he was going to raise my rent. And when he said that, he said, I am going to rape you. I came back into this space and I prayed to God. And I said, I don't want to be raped. I said, someone tried to rape me when I was 13 years old. And I don't ever want to go through that again. Father, I put myself at your feet. And I have been at his feet since September. Because I don't want to pay this man any more rent. Because I said, God, this isn't fair. This isn't right. I've done everything you've asked for. And this man wants to rape me. This man wants to hurt me. He wants to defile me. And I don't want to go in that direction. I don't want to be away from you. So God has been testing my heart since that day. I have been nice to this man. I have not made him aware of any of the feelings that I have. I tell everything to God. And now God says, it is time for your recompense. You have heard me talking about the end of times. You have heard me talking about how things are about to change. Okay? God brought this to me when I was living in California. So here's how this came about. He had me put oil over my dog. And then he dropped the word leper. And he led me to look up the passage where that information is found. Now, you are more than welcome to go read those chapters yourselves. Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 4. Mark chapter 1, verses 40 through 45. Luke chapter 5, verses 12 to 16. If you go back to my very first video, the video that I spoke about God's coming punishment to America and the beginning of sorrows. He had me write down the beginning of sorrows. Now, I don't put God in a box. Judge me, and it will be God you will be answering to, not me. So, in my shopping excursion that I did yesterday, he brought me to Barnes & Noble because I love to read. And he brought me to, there was a book signing of a writer that I don't know. This is my first time ever knowing who she is. And her name is Callista Neath. And the book that she wrote is called Invoking the Blood. God is so strategic. She signed it for me. She asked me what I would like her to sign. And I said, well, I'm a fellow writer. I said, but, I don't know if I should find a publishing house or if I should publish it myself. And she goes, I'm a self-published writer. I'm learning a lot about publishing. She goes, I said, so you keep 100% of the proceeds? She said, yes, I do. And I said, well, how about a word of encouragement to a fellow budding writer? And this is what she wrote to me. May you write words that move the sun. May you write words that move the sun. Okay, so that's what I read this morning. I was reading a few passages from that book, chapter 1. And then God dropped the leper. So I had looked up the leper, looked up those passages. There is a commonality in those passages about healing. And then God said, what is your dog? And I'm like, well, if people saw him, they think he's a leper. He goes, I'm going to heal the leper. I'm going to heal him. He is not going to look like he does right now. And I have started to see the things that God is returning to me. He's not returning everything, because not everything is meant to go with me. But the things that are meant to go with me will return with me. So there are certain things that God is telling me, no, no, no. In fact, there was a package that was returned to the sender, even though the other package was received in the place that I had asked for it to be delivered to. Funny. So God is returning that money to me. And I'm like, okay. So now he had me write down that the skillet and, putting it away, and then how much he had me write down about my account and the deposit of the check. And the number that he highlighted to me was the number 18. Now, I looked it up in Strong Concordance, and 18 means the crib, the manger, a feeding trough, not like the ones used for animals, okay? Eyes to see, ears to hear. 18 also means, and the 18 in the Hebrew means crib, feeding trough. 18 in the Greek concordance means goods, riches. And he also had me add the number 9, the 1 and 8, which makes the number 9. And the number 9 in the Hebrew concordance means what was lost. My father is so good and strategic. The number 9 in the Greek concordance means territory of Damascus. The territory is ready. And this will be the beginning of sorrows. So God also brought me to Revelations, because he said where in Revelations is the beginning of sorrows. But where he had me start is at chapter 14, which the chapter title is The Redeemed with the Lamb. He didn't have me read it. Instead, he had me start the video. So, here we go. Okay. So I kept my married name when I was after the divorce, because I didn't, in that moment, I didn't feel, it didn't resonate with me. My last name, my maiden name did not resonate with me because of all the things that have been done to me from the time I was born. Okay? My maiden name is Fuentes, Fuentes. It is the name that I use on YouTube. The name translated to English, if you haven't already done so, means fountains. Okay? God is strategic. The beginning, the passage that God wants me to read from is titled The Angel's Messages. And I'm going to read until God tells me to stop, okay? So, and I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. My name means fountain. I was born in California. I was born, the name of the city means table in English. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. The truck I drove, the two trucks. The first truck I owned while I was still married. It was destroyed. It was totaled. There was someone who was racing in the parking lot, and they totaled my car, my truck. The truck is a Ram. My second truck was also a Ram, and it was used I had to decide. Either I could keep my truck or I could keep my dog. I chose my dog. I let go of the truck because the truck was the ram in the bush. But God also used it as something else. I gave up my truck, even though it would make me look irresponsible, it would make me look destructive, it would make me look despicable to everyone else, because now I'm on the bus. Now I'm walking to and from work. I'm arriving at hours that people are like, why are you here an hour early? Why are you taking the bus? Can't you save money? Can't you put money together to buy a car? The judgment, the words spoken in bitterness and evil. And yet, my husband doesn't look at me with judgment or with anger or with hatred. But instead, he looks at me and says, how can you still be happy knowing that you're on the bus, knowing that you're living a hardship, and yet you're happy, you're smiling, you're enjoying your life, you're going out and having fun? Because God said to. So let's continue reading, shall we? And the smoke of their torment ascended up over ever and ever, and they have no rest, day or night. Who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, write, blessed are the dead, which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yeah, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Now we're going into verse 14, and the title of this verse is The Ripe Harvest. So as we harvest the work that we have done, the path that God has laid before us, this is where he tells us, don't feel bad for these people. They had the same opportunity. They had the same chance. They chose poorly. They walked away from God. So as we begin to, the harvest is ripe. Okay? We're ready to harvest our fruit. We're ready to receive the blessings of God. And as we rise, as we go above to the next level, those who were against us will be lowered and will begin to feel God's wrath. That is when these people are going to lash out and try to pull us down again. That is why it's very important